with lunges, there's a ton of different ways to do them. You can go forward, you can go back, you can be stationary, you can alternate legs or do one at a time. The biggest concept I want you guys to understand about lunges is how you're distributing your weight on that leading foot. What do I mean by that? So when we have a human body, we have our midfoot, which is our balance point, right here. Our center of mass is all of our weight up here. If this shifts forward, we're gonna tip forward. If it shifts back, we're gonna fall backwards. Now when we're lunging, this is our leading leg. This is the leg that we're doing all of the work with, or at least 95% of the work with. This back leg is just a kickstand. Now, a few mistakes people make when they're lunging is keeping their center of mass, all of their weight, in between both legs. So we're gonna share our weight between the front and the back leg. We don't wanna do that. You're gonna feel a lot of hip flexor being worked if you do this. What you wanna do is get that weight over that leading foot, so that way this leg does all the work, this leg is just a kickstand. Essentially, you should be able to do a lunge just like this, step up without the back leg, lunge into the next one, step right back up. Balance is an important key with this. When people do lunges, they often tend to put too much of their weight onto the tiptoe as the knee travels forward. So a common misconception about lunges, your knees can go past your toes. And for a lot of people, that will happen. That's not a bad thing. The bad thing is, when people usually do that, their weight comes off the heels and onto the tiptoe. Now what happens there is your quad is gonna overactivate, and then the tendon is gonna pull on the front of your shin or the front of your knee, and then aggravate that area. All right, we don't wanna shift all of our weight onto the tiptoe. We want to keep an even distribution on our whole foot. So think of keeping it on the midfoot, on the heel, and the toe all together. Knee can go forward, it can stay here, and then you're just going to step right up into the next one. Another misconception is allowing the knee to touch the ground. You can if you want. It's a good indicator to go full range of motion. Just don't let it slam into the ground when you're doing lunges. One last thing you can add to lunges to create a different variation is you can change your torso angle. What do I mean by that? If you lunge like this, all right, weight is nice and evenly distributed on the whole foot. I'm not on the tiptoe, I'm not on the heel, it's even, and the knee can drive forward. Now this is gonna target the quads a lot with the torso vertical, all right, not so much the hamstrings and the glutes. It will still target it, but not as much as if I lean my torso forward. If you do this, you'll feel the stretch here. These muscles will load because you're adding that forward torso lean, therefore engaging these muscles a bit more when lunging. So I personally like to lunge with the forward torso. That way I can hit my glutes and hamstrings more. If I wanted to hit my quads more, I would keep my torso upright, shift the weight forward, and then lunge into the next one. So that's it. Just don't let your weight shift too far onto the tiptoe, and play around with different variations of the lunge.